Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Morgan, and here we do a little bit of all things spooky. But starting today and for the next 13 days, we are going to be doing things a little bit differently because I am going to be uploading daily and we're going to be talking about nothing but Appalachia, covering everything from the rules to true stories and even some true videos that have been captured by me and others. So let's start this off with ignoring the whistling that you hear coming from the woods. Now, this is unfortunately the most common thing that happens in the mountains. In fact, I don't know many people that live here that haven't experienced this at least once. Certain things in the woods that wish to cause you harm use this tactic because it gets your attention. Whistles are very intentional, they are intense, and they are sharp, and they immediately hit our ears and we are alert. That's why they're used to get humans and animals' attention. You're going to notice it. Now, what you do next is what's important because it is very important that you pretend you didn't hear it. Control every aspect of you down to your heart rate. If you are walking into the woods when it happens, act like it was your idea to turn around and exit those woods. You already planned it. It was not because of the whistle. Get out, but get out calmly. If you are outside when this happens, get away from that area. Get inside as quickly but as calmly as you can. Also, outside of how you react to whistling, try to avoid whistling outside yourself. Honestly, I don't whistle at all. It's said in so many cultures that it either attracts a negative spirit or brings bad luck. Just don't do it. It's not great. But if you do that outside, you're essentially just alerting anything or anyone around that you're there and you're right where you are. So don't do that. Now, I have experienced this quite often, so many times in fact that I have caught a few on camera. Okay. So here's scene 7.
Okay.
It looks okay, but I am thinking we're gonna have to redo scene 7. It might be okay.
Yeah, I
I don't think we planned on redoing scene 7, did we?
No, I think it's fine. I think it's that was the last one, right?
Yeah, it's getting a little cold. We should.
Okay, let's back up. I'm gonna keep recording with this just for some extra behind the scenes, if that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll try and get this into the fastest that I can.
Yeah, it's really chilly. I think we should.
Try and hurry,
Yeah, I think we should.
Will that get in there? Okay, watch your legs. Watch your arms in. Okay.
Ready to go?
Yep.
But anyways, enough of that. Let's get into some very true and scary stories of the Appalachian whistle. I live next to the Appalachian Mountains in Virginia. I live in the Blue Ridge sector near West Virginia. After seeing all of these Appalachian stories, I thought it would be funny to see if they were true. Well, last week I decided to sit outside my patio and whistle, saying the name and other stupid things I thought were just myths. I sat there for 20 minutes before I started getting a really weird and dreadful, just awful feeling in my gut, which I swiftly went back inside because of. I know the rules of the mountains to keep your curtains closed and don't go outside at night. Don't look into the trees and all that, but I kept getting this really persuasive feeling like I had to look. I gave in to the temptation and brushed my blinds aside. When I looked outside, I saw a pair of red glowing eyes. They were in the air around 20 feet or so. I looked up at them and I looked away immediately, terrified that they were going to start coming towards my window. I shut them and swiftly turned my lights on and cowered under my bed. The rest of that night I heard noises outside, tapping on my window, whispers. I heard my name being called with my dad's voice even though my dad was working. It's been happening ever since. Weird occurrences since I knocked on the door of all the paranormal. My most terrifying experience was yesterday night. I went to let my dog out and sat on the patio while keeping an eye on him. After a few minutes of doing so, I heard a voice talking in a really raspy voice. It said hey and then paused, and then it said it again. It sounded far away, but it still freaked me out. I called my dog back up because my anxiety was going through the roof. My hair was standing up on the back of my head. I made a mistake and looked into the trees, as if searching for whatever was making my gut go crazy. I scanned the tree line, which was around 10 feet away from me. While staring, I heard a scream, a really manly scream. It sounded almost inhuman. I looked into the trees again and saw the same pair of red eyes staring back at me. still 20 feet in the air. It was pitch black, and all I could see were the eyes. I backpedaled into my house and locked the door and every window. I'm still getting these appearances, but I've started to respect the folklore. I try not to piss it off. It all happened because of my arrogant teenage self. So that had a few different rules that we're going to be talking about in there. The red eyes, I can't remember if that's one that I picked for this series or not, but it is really prominent in the Appalachian Mountains. I've seen them. My family's seen them. I, again, don't know many people who haven't experienced these red eyes. But there was a lot of stuff in there, but none of it would have happened, potentially, if that whistle hadn't happened. So that is why I told you guys not to do it. Alright, next story. My name is Arcadia, and I stumbled across your TikTok page while looking for remedies or tips for my current situation. I'd like to share what I've been going through. So I live in southern Pennsylvania in a valley between two Appalachian mountains. My family has ties to Native American culture. I'm 30% Inuit, and my maternal grandmother was 100%, though she was adopted by a family in Louisiana. And that's a whole other story on its own. I've never been connected to that side of my lineage until recently through ancestry testing. I've been fascinated by cryptids and mythology since I was little. When I was 11, I went through a phase of jumping between being an atheist, then a polytheistic Hellenist, worshipping Greek gods and biblical demons. I know now that I didn't handle things correctly, and I was honestly disrespectful. Eventually, I realized my mistake and left all of that behind, but recently I've been struggling mentally again. This time I had a religious psychosis related to the Greek gods. I built altars and everything, but once again I was in a state of mind that wasn't whole. I ended up being disrespectful again. However, this time, I don't think I was worshipping the Greek gods. Let me explain further. My room has 2 bookshelves, one against the wall and one in the middle of the room, separating my bed and my desk into 2 separate cubbies. My altars were placed in the desk cubby, and I could still see the door from my bed. One night while I was on a call with my girlfriend, I saw this black figure with wide eyes and large black pupils peeking over the bookshelf, staring. It quickly disappeared. About an hour later, as I was falling asleep, I saw a long leg or something like it reach from the floor to the closet, then zipped back behind the bookshelf. I screamed. My mom rushed in. She said it was probably just shadows from my open window, but I hadn't opened it. I tried to brush it off, thinking it was just my eyes playing tricks on me, but that night I had a dream that something was watching me sleep from above my bed. When I woke up, I swear the same thing was on my ceiling, hanging from the flag above my bed. Its legs were longer than my ceiling, and it was all crunched up. Then it jumped over my bed and onto the cubby above the door. It opened my door and left, and I had to get up and shut it. Soon after, I moved the bookshelf and then divided my room and added a window fan to the window. Then the weird events stopped. For a while, at least. But then I started hearing Appalachian whistling in my room. The more I looked over my shoulder to see where the whistling was coming from, the louder the sounds became. Eventually, I heard a thump on the roof, which startled me, and after that, it got even worse. I began hearing what sounded like my window screen being sliced open. My mom would yell my name from the laundry room in the middle of the night at around 11 to 5 in the morning. There's significance to this laundry room. Our house is old, dating back to the Revolutionary War. It had been updated over the years, but some rooms have been preserved to their original stance. The laundry room, the attic, and part of the living room have been. The laundry room was converted into a small chapel during the Great Depression for the previous owner's children, and we found old Bibles and crosses down there. It feels like whatever I've done has summoned something that feeds off that energy and wants to hurt me. Sometimes I feel like I can't control my body. It makes me watch disturbing things, like a movie called... I'm not going to give you the name of this movie because it is rather disturbing. Every time I lose control, I get attacked at night. The noises get louder and I find scratches all over my body. As I'm writing this, I'm in school. I'm the first one here and something's pulling my hair. I'll wrap this up for now, but I'll send 2 drawings to give you a better idea of what's been going on, and I'll email you with photos soon. So as far as I know, they haven't given any updates. Honestly, this feels like a lot of different things, and I think specifically that whistle could be Appalachian folklore related, but this seems like an attachment and something different. So I would need to know more information about this to actually give some advice. I'll probably email them back because it seems like a whole lot going on, and honestly the Appalachian folklore side of it seems to be the least of this person's worries. Alright, next story. When I was 8, my grandma told me we were going to go visit family in West Virginia. Me being from Kentucky, thought that it would be cool to go see what it was like. Keep in mind, my aunt and uncle were about in their 70s and loved being outdoors and anywhere that they wouldn't be bothered by people. I've read this story. Okay, I don't know if I've read this on here, but this is one of my favorite stories that I've ever been sent. When we got there, it was around 1:30 in the morning, and right off the bat, I had a very odd feeling as if the trees were watching me. I informed my grandmother that I felt unsafe. She said it's because it's a dense forest in the mountains, but I'll be fine. When we arrived, my uncle rushed us inside and said that you didn't want to be out in these woods at night. You'll be watched. I was so scared I didn't sleep that night. 8-year-old me, knowing nothing about cryptids or walkers, I broke some obvious rules. When I can't sleep, I whistle. I thought it would soothe me, knowing I was stressed out. Maybe around 10 minutes later, I hear this tapping noise, and I figured that it's just the house settling and thought nothing of it. For some reason, their house was uncomfortably hot, and normally when the house was hot back home, I would crack a window and let it cool down. Big mistake. Right afterwards, I thought I could hear my grandma telling me, "Don't worry, it's just a dense forest." I talked back thinking it was her and said that I know I just couldn't sleep because of what Uncle Ricky said. To no avail, there was no response back, which I thought was weird, but maybe it was just the voice in my head. But then I heard the window sound like it was opening more. It stopped, and then the sound of tapping on the glass began. It wouldn't stop. Tap, 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 tap. With each tap, it would get louder and faster. I screamed, and my grandpa ran into my room and asked me what was going on, and the tapping stopped. I told him what happened, and a look of dread and fear came across his face. He said, "Don't look at that window. Go to the guest room with your grandma." Scared, I ran to her, and I heard him yell and slam the window shut, and we all went to bed. The next morning, my uncle began asking me questions, and he told me to never open that window again and said, "You don't want the forest evil friends to get you in the night." I didn't think about it ever again, and I was able to sleep peacefully without any problems, but then a few days later I was playing outside by myself. It was just about to get dark when I heard the whistling. It sounded like the song I was whistling the other night. Then I look out to the trees and I see a dark figure pass by my vision. I let out a scream, and I heard a loud growl. It sounded like it came from the deepest depths of hell. I ran inside and told my grandparents and uncle. Thank God they were there that night, and thank God we left after that. We left a few hours later. I've never been back since. I don't know what I saw, and I don't want to know. I've tried to ask my grandpa what he saw in the window that night, but he never told me. Sadly, he passed, so I guess I'll never know. I'll just leave it to my imagination. I love that story so much. It is so freaking eerie. I adore it. The mental image that they paint, it's one of my favorites. It's one of my favorites. Okay, let's read one more story. I'm going to take my chances asking here quick. I live on the edge of the Appalachian Mountains, and I'm no stranger to spirits, as my house has 4 that's lived on the property before my house was even built. We've lucked out in having very respectful spirits, and I honestly adore them. There's a shadow spirit, a light spirit, an 8-year-old boy named Herman, and his dad. Herman's dad had taken a while to gain his respect at the cost of some things thrown and my phone being bent, but now I feel right and understanding. After finding out about he and his son's passing, his anger was really directed towards himself and at his very unskilled medium in the house. He was just trying to communicate that, and he's since stopped most, if not all, of his outbursts. The house has felt much lighter since. I found that in the last 4 years, though, my spirit friends have gone radio silent. Even Herman, who had taken a liking to me and our family pets and acted as any 8-year-old boy would with playful curiosity. I know he's a spirit, but his presence has always felt warm, and I've always welcomed him to understanding he's just a kid. In the last 4 years, however, I noticed some other odd things to happen. On a nightly basis, I will play fetch with my dog Hiccup, and a light spirit has always shown every few nights or so to tease or play with him, nothing malicious. My dog is a people person, and he registers her as such. She has a gentle yet playful nature, and have grown to love her. In the past 4 years, however, I haven't seen her once, nor has Hiccup. I hardly ever see the shadow spirit given his shy nature, but he hasn't even shown himself. But in the field where I play fetch with Hiccup, I have seen a figure on all 4s out of the corner of my eye. Sometimes I follow it with my eyes. It never shows where it's in the flashlight. There's never footprints either. This thing, however, has mimicked my calls for Hiccup. I don't dare whistle at night, but I have a specific whistle and kissy noise patterns to signal Hiccup to come to me, and the whistles are only at night. Hiccup notices but always returns back to me without fail. I think it knows that Hiccup goes where I go. It's mocked Hiccup's footsteps, his tags jingling, and his run, almost as if it's echoing my dog. It's also screeched like a rabid cat fight between mine and my neighbor's house. And while I have cats, it didn't sound exactly like a cat or a screech owl. I don't know how to describe it, but it sounded evil. As of late, however, I noticed it mocking my come here whistle perfectly, but it'll bounce from where I hear it, in the tree out front, the neighbor's tree, and then the next house down the bushes, my car, the neighbor's roof, down the street again, and right next to me. I thought maybe mockingbirds, as I've conditioned them to whistling tunes before and accidentally, but mockingbirds don't distort their calls like a furry running out of batteries. And while they're fast, but not as fast as I hear it changing locations, it's been getting closer, but I think it's wanting me to cave. We've had a mimic in the house before, though. If I'm honest, I think it was just Herman being a little kid and playing a harmless prank. But the calls. I haven't used that whistle tune in months, and this thing has made such an uneasy feeling that my neighbor's dog, who I've puppy sat before, will start to notice and won't go outside. Last night a whistle came from the bush behind me. I saw the figure I see in the field move into the bushes against my neighbor's house out of the corner of my eye. I've never seen it outside the field. It's terrifying. It's toying with me, and I think it's why the spirits in my house have been silenced. I miss them, and I'm at a loss for what to do. Oh no. So that is the thing when you have positive spirits. If something negative comes in, sometimes they are pushed. I would suggest putting iron stakes on all four corners of your property. Iron is fantastic for keeping these things kind of out of your space. You can also put them on the inside of your front door, on the outside of your front porch. It works really well. Black salt also will work, but don't put that in the soil because salt damages the earth. But anyways, I guess that is all for today. Thank you guys so much for spending our first of 13 days together. I hope you don't get sick of me in the next 2 weeks. But anyways, I will see you tomorrow to talk about the next role and to talk even more about Appalachia.